The big guns have arrived. Yashraj Films, Red Chillies, and several others, India's most powerful entertainment names, are now staking a claim in microdramas. Also, the segment is increasingly becoming a test bed for bigger IPs. Think full OTT series and even films. But this playbook is different. This isn't a format that rewards prestige or star power alone. In fact, it rewards volume, speed, and an almost algorithmic understanding of what keeps a thumb from swiping. Think not big-scale films, but reels and shorts at scale. Also, the question of how to actually make money remains wide open. You see, the ad-driven model in China, microdrama's biggest pioneer and success story, does not really map onto India's fragmented market. So today, we dig into the three fault lines defining microdrama's next chapter: IP strategy, studio ambition, and the revenue puzzle. It's Friday, the 15th of May. I'm Anirban Chowdhury. This is the Morning Brief. First up, my colleague and ET's in-house film journalist and critic, Rajesh Naidu. Hi Rajesh, very warm welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thanks, Anirban.
Why don't you give me an overall sense of the microdrama market, current size, its CAGR, and also the kind of investments that it is attracting?
At present, according to various estimates, the size of microdrama industry in India was $300 million in 2025. This industry is likely to grow at a CAGR of roughly 50 to 60% in the next 4 years, and it may attain a size of close to $5 billion by 2030. At present, there are 250 million active users. An important thing one has to bear in mind is the use of AI in this industry. That is changing the whole business dynamics. Even in China, if you see, a study showed that in January 2026, among the top 100 microdrama, close to 38% were AI generated. And the same share in 2025 was 7%. So that itself shows how AI is, boosting this industry's prospects, and how people are also accepting AI's role in creating microdrama. There is another trend that's emerging in India where films, will be cut as vertical dramas or microdrama, given the thin attention span. So this is what the India's microdrama landscape largely looks like.
Now, one interesting story that you recently did was how microdramas are becoming the test beds for IPs. Tell me about that.
There are two aspects, which have led to this trend where one is seeing microdrama emerging as a breeding ground for testing IPs. One is the cost and second is the time. So these two variables, are propelling and pushing this trend to a great extent, not only in India, but also in China. So today, if one has to make a microdrama of 50 episodes, the average cost will be in the range of 10 to 15 lakh. And the time required to create that microdrama will be less than 10 days. In fact, some microdramas are made in 3 days. Today, as you know, the time and the cost required to build a film, mount a film, it's increasing day by day. The talent cost takes almost 55 to 60% of the cost of the filmmaking, and then comes the whole process of mounting the film. These things take at least 6 to 8 months. But when it comes to microdrama, there is a certain, amount of certainty in terms of, seeing and testing whether an IP can work on a feature film length basis. Just to add, it is not a cakewalk or anybody can do it. Long established players in the entertainment industry, they have an edge over others because they bring in their core competencies in terms of creating content, in terms of technology. That is the reason when you see players like Yashraj or even Red Chillies, when they announce that they are entering this space, the whole industry and especially startups, they realize now the industry is getting heated up. The business fundamentals are changing for the better, and also OTT players, which are also functioning like studios, like Amazon or Geo, they also have their own microdrama apps. So one can easily foresee that now mainstream talent will be drawn to this industry, because when big players enter, matters, they turn serious, business makes more sense.
Do we actually have examples of successful microdramas being fleshed or planned to be fleshed into longer series, or vice versa, where a successful series has been thought to be re released in a microdrama format?
In India, we are at a nascent stage. In China, I mean, these things are happening at a very regular basis. This is because they have realized the potential of how to use microdrama as a very interesting tool to market films. For example, in China, the Ninja franchisee, before releasing the films, the producers, they come out with microdrama series around the Ninja characters. In India, very prominent example is the feature film called Indian Institute of Zombies. This film is produced by Kuku TV. It's a horror comedy. Before this feature film, they had an audio series on the same story with the same name, Indian Institute of Zombies. Also, if you see in the West, companies like Fox, they have been testing IPs to a great extent. For example, Fox has a stake in a technology company called Holy Water. Holy Water has 4 microdrama apps. One is AI enabled, another is subscription based. So what Fox does is it creates a microdrama series using the AI supported app, and when it gets favorable response on that app, the same IP is tested on another microdrama app which is based on subscription. When it gets favorable response on the subscription based app, Fox then mounts it and scales it up into films. That's how, I think a similar trend would transpire in India.
So, the Fox Holy Water model is instructive. Test an IP on a free AI enabled app, validate it on subscription, then scale to film. But Sanidhya Narain, our next guest, the founder of AI native microdrama platform Dashverse, has a contrarian view. He thinks this framing fundamentally misreads what microdrama is and who it's for. So here's how he answers Rajesh's first question. What does he think of the big boys of Bollywood entering the microdrama space?
So I feel that is great. It's finally the entire content industry acknowledging the format and getting into this. We have seen this wave happening with OTT as well when Netflix came for the first time globally, and then geographically, a lot of platforms came, not just in India. And today, most of the production houses make series. So it signals that microdrama is no longer the experimental format. It's like the mainstream entertainment. In a sense, we will see a lot of good star access and the IP libraries coming into this play. But the entire play, I mean, where I'm not sure is where in the entire value chain these studios get positioned into. Do they try to launch their own distribution? Do they try to find a partner? Do they come with some understanding of how the content should actually be written? Because this is not film, this is not a long form OTT series, this is like a bite sized 1 to 2 minute episodes. So, how do you adapt to the format as well? We have to see. This experiment has been tried by few studios in the Hollywood as well, even in China, but nothing great has come out of this experiment yet. And the reason is people who are making microdrama and distributing microdrama is a new creator class, and the existing creator economy or the studio economy doesn't really is able to capture the value. So I'm excited. I'm a bit skeptical. Let's see how it goes.
It's great that you mentioned about testing IPs. I mean, in the West, Fox, because of its stake in Holy Water, it tests so many IPs on its 4 microdrama platforms. Do you see the same pattern developing or unfolding in India?
I don't think microdrama is a way to test IP for movies or series later on. Microdrama in itself is a format that people consume for a very different kind of a use case. not an appointment viewing, which is generally, what OTT or the film is, where you like decide and give your time, commit to it, and have a viewing experience. So if something works in microdrama will also work for a movie, I don't think so. It holds there. So it's not an IP play. It's more of a volume play, and you have to make a lot of volume. It is closer to Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. Like people want volume, people want to keep on consuming, people don't want to put too much brains into it while consuming. So that's my view on it on the IP side.
Sanidhya, what does competition look like in this segment? I mean, Dash Reels, for instance, hit 10 million downloads in months, but your rivals like Kuku and Reel Saga, they are closing in fairly fast. Also, industry watchers say that the competition is because of limited supply, and once the supply problem is cracked and there is, more content and more players, the competition will automatically ease. How do you see the whole landscape right now and in the near future?
See, today it is a very fragmented market in short drama. In fact, not just in India, even if you look globally, there are hundreds of thousands of app doing short drama, and everybody kind of is limited by the kind of library they have. Now, today, most of the apps will be playing the download game, but the problem is that those users come and leave because they don't find the next content that they can watch. So the real competition will happen when people will start solving supply, as you said. Somebody can generate those volumes. There are apps, including us, sitting as at 5 to 10 million monthly active users, which is huge. But if you see the library, you're roughly producing 50, 100 dramas and uploading, and everybody will not find kind of liking of the limited content that you have. So you have to think of your product like Instagram or a YouTube, where there is such a long tail of content, and eventually everybody finds the content which they would like to consume, and they get that promises met. So whatever you see today as a competition and I see as a competition is immaterial. The consolidation will happen only if there is a player who solves the supply angle, and the one who solves it is going to automatically win on distribution, because distribution is not just won by downloads, it is won by retention. It is like continuous engagement with the audiences, with the consumer who has downloaded your app, who keeps your app and doesn't just leave it away.
I want to understand, when we talk about big players like YRF and Red Chilies, what exactly, according to you, the goals or, strategies they have in mind before entering this space?
I can predict an outcome, right? If big studios come, the category expands and expands meaningfully, because they don't come alone as a brand. They also always kind of bring in the star power into it. But the business, how the business is built, is a completely different thing, right? Because even if economies are in your favor, let us say you spend 1 crore rupees, a virus spends a crore rupees just to deliver a short drama versus 100 crore that it takes to deliver a movie. The problem is the unit economics work, but the entire business P&L has to work if you only make thousands of crores of revenue, like at that scale, whatever is the economics of these big studios, right? And for that, they have to churn out a lot of content, a lot and lot of content. Are they structured to do it? Are they thinking this direction? I don't know, but they should be if they are entering the category. It has never worked in China. The supply is primarily driven by micro studios, like very small teams who keep on making, and a lot of small teams who keep on making it and feeding the consumer demand.
Do you think there'll be a consolidation in this space with these players, with these big players entering?
See, we have to think from consumer first, not how the business thinks about it, right? And what does the consumer need? Does consumer need 20 different apps on the phone, where every time he has to find one new app to watch the next microdrama? Or will you want one destination where everybody comes and find something to their own liking, right? Distribution will fragment more before it will get consolidated,
Got
right?
it.
Because even if you have produced a good drama, you cannot have so many apps, and you cannot like always keep on searching what is the next
Exactly.
thing to watch.
And Sanidhya, would you be open to a stake sale to a big player, or say investment from a big player?
I mean,
Or
that's
majority
very
stake.
difficult to predict, but we are structurally solving the problem in a different way. Our company, I mean, the founders and everybody is aligned on one single fact that the winner could be someone who can bring in a lot of massive supply, right? And that is when you can have edge on the distribution, right? So, I mean, we are actually structured like a tech company who's trying to solve, using AI models, that how can you truly democratize microdrama creation, right?
Right.
Can you bring the cost down? Because as long as even, India is structurally cheap, right? But
Mm,
as long as the cost is 10, 15, 20 lakhs, you cannot assume that democratization will happen. It can only happen
mm.
if you collapse time and collapse cost.
Would you give us an idea of the costs? Like, what are the overheads, margins, etc.?
So honestly, in our history till we started doing microdramas, we have not produced a single live action microdrama. Like we have never shot any microdrama. We have only tried to create AI microdramas, and those costs were really high because we were more in an R&D phase. If I tell you the trajectory, we released first microdrama in August last year, right? That was not just first in India; it was probably first globally, and the cost we incurred was around 100K USD. In the month of March, we created around 20 microdramas with AI,
Mm, mm.
and the cost fell to almost $15,000. In
Got it.
month of May, our costs are somewhere hovering around 5,000 to $6,000. That means that in 3.5 to 4 lakh rupees, we can make a microdrama. So every quarter we are collapsing it, making it half. By the end of this quarter, we will reach somewhere of a sweet spot where we would try to bring it under a lakh rupees, under
Got
$1,000,
it.
somewhere close to
Got it.
that.
So, in the next 5 years, is it fair to say that you're trying to create like a microdrama platform or an aggregator or a marketplace without owning IPs? I mean, you've signed a deal with Harlequin, which brings you microdramas built on other people's IPs. So, what form or shape would you take in the next 5 years?
So today we have two propositions and how we are working. In India, we are trying to own the full stack, right, from supply to distribution. But globally, we are not like actually capitalized so well that we can also lead globally and solve both problems. So globally, what we are doing is we are partnering with all these top content companies who want to get into this category, right? It also includes the e-commerce. I mean, a lot of announcement will come forward, right? And all these people want to get into AI microdrama, but nobody is structured to produce it because tech is still in a nascent stage. So we work with Harlequin. We are working on the US distribution. We did a pilot and it was like very successful, and they have signed a framework contracts, and we have more coming in, even with the very top production houses in the US. So we'll work with all of them. But on the distribution side, we are not going to double down globally. We are only going to like try to win India first, and then have more aspirations to go globally. So we work with everyone outside India. We kind of like become AI content factory for them. We even work with Chinese player who want to produce AI macrodramas. Can't do it in China at their cost structures. So we work with everybody outside India.
Beyond subscription, do you foresee any other source of revenues? Like, for instance, there's been a lot of talk about branded content being produced through
Yeah,
microdrama. How do you look at that
yeah.
aspect?
See, branded content is already very big in China. Meituan, which is their biggest food delivery app, has microdrama inside, and they see it as an engagement phenomenon, and then they try to sell, coffees and stuff like that through content. Pindodo, which is like one of the biggest e-commerce player in China, also has gone berserk on microdrama. I mean, they have integrated it inside their app just as an engagement category. And then there are brands like Starbucks in China again who are doing like branded content. India today is at a very extreme end of only subscription based monetization. But you'll see more freemium plays coming, more alternate revenue sources coming in. That is bound to happen. In fact, we right now are doing some branded content experimentation as well.
But do you see branded content as a substantially recognizable source of revenue?
No, it's see, commerce will be the biggest second source of revenue beyond direct monetization. Branded content will be a part of it, but it's not like I can build my revenue strategy around it.
So, my last question to you, if I say in the next 5 years, if I want you to break up the revenue, How much would come from subscription? How much would come from advertisement? How much would come from branded content?
So globally, what we are seeing is that ad revenue becomes the number one source of revenue. In China, it is already above 70%. Direct subscription only accounts for 20-25%. Although the market started with 100% direct subscription, like it started in India. The challenge with India is that the ad market is very small for a business to exist, and already there are so many players. So India, in my opinion, will have to have subscription as the number one source of revenue, which should be like around 50%, and have a long tail remaining, 30-40% coming from ads and 10% everything else combined.
Big studios bring capital, IP libraries, and star power. What they may not bring is the instinct for volume, speed, and format native storytelling that microdrama actually demand. In a game where supply wins, the question is who's built to keep up? That's it for today. You were listening to this episode on The Morning Brief. It was produced by me, sound designed by Indranil Bhattacharjee. Keep listening to The Morning Brief and our other shows, including Corner Office Conversation, wherever you get your podcast.